Hey, this is John Lee Dumas of the award-winning podcast Entrepreneurs on Fire, and you're listening to the Excelsior Journeys with George Soroy. Prepare to ignite.
Is there a burning desire within to share your creativity with the rest of the world? Do you insist on pursuing your passion by any means necessary? Then you are on an Excelsior journey, and you are not alone. Welcome back to Excelsior Journeys. This is George Soroy, and thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being here for episode number 75. I still can't believe we've gone this far. There's no sign of us stopping anytime soon. So if you like what you hear, please spread the word about the show. Please make sure that that everyone is subscribing, and obviously rates, reviews, shares, all of that. It all means the world to me. The key is subscriptions. That's the main thing that really kind of keeps the show much more visible. You can take a look and see all the different platforms that are available on he'sgotit.com/podcasts. You'll see over 10 different platforms. And if you are an iPhone user, please subscribe to Apple. That will help boost this show more than anything. And all of your support really, really means the world to me. And some of you have asked exactly what Excelsior Journeys is all about, and I feel this is a perfect opportunity for me to kind of refresh what this whole show is all about. The show basically brings in all different types of creative people, and this is from actors, filmmakers, artists, authors, dancers, stand-up comics, voiceover artists, like everything. It all goes from the whole creative spectrum. And the main thing that everyone has in common, the main thing that really links everyone, is there is a passion within them that pushes them to accomplish their creative journeys, no matter what. And even if they're doing full-time jobs and are doing this on the side, whatever, they are reaching that creative level inside of them. They are bringing it out for all the world to see and looking to basically make a positive impact in this world. And for episode number 75, we have a perfect example of a person living an Excelsior journey in B. Anthony Gibson. Anthony and I met each other in 1994. He was one of the first people that I met at Marymount Manhattan College, and the first person in my age range that shared a love for film soundtracks as I did. And immediately it was just like, a kindred spirit, a brother, please. And we got to know each other really quickly and hit it off really well. We still had our disagreements regarding Danny Elfman, but that, considering that was the only thing that we were really disagreeing about, all was well. And it was during that first semester that I got to see exactly what it was that what he had been doing before getting to Marymount Manhattan College. And while living in Rochester, where he still lives today, he and some friends took it upon themselves to start up their own film company in high school. And they called it Tatum Pictures. And they immediately started in with either adaptations of a video game or coming up with their own projects, or even doing their own James Bond movie. And using John Barry's score and coming up with their own opening sequence. And it's just it was amazing to watch. And I just knew it was just like, I need this guy in my life at all times, because he is someone who is constantly looking to constantly make things happen to accomplish his mission as a creative person. And I am so thrilled that not only has he continued to do so as the years went on, but he has even gotten his films in theaters in Rochester. And I am so excited for him to tell us all about his journey. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce to you B. Anthony Gibson. Anthony, how are you, sir?
Oh my God, George, I'm great. Thanks for having me.
And thank you for being here, man. Thank you. It's been we've been keeping in touch thanks to social media, but at the same time, it's just like, this is a real great opportunity for us to really kind of catch up and see what we've been up to. And what you've been doing. And I am just so thrilled to have you on here, because we can also talk about working with some other creatives that I'm really anxious to have on here, Jay Atkins and Nathan Perry. So this is going to be a blast. So
this is wonderful. I love it.
Oh, thanks. So let's start off with the last thing that you had worked on, which unfortunately was kind of put on hold because of COVID, was a Star Wars fan film, correct?
Yes, correct. So we actually started, I want to say back in 2018, 2019, we had this idea to put together our own little Star Wars trilogy. Nothing big or the chapters would be around, 20 minutes at the most. And it was just going to be a story within the universe and just take 3 episodes to tell it.
Yeah.
And so we started off with the first story, which was Scramble on Yulara. And that one, so I've had a couple of films that's really put me through my paces, and I think that one definitely takes the cake.
It's so wild seeing like sort of as just like VHS just shot on a camcorder, and now all of a sudden like it's a Star Wars movie. It's got effects and everything. Like this is wild. This is so wild. So I knew I had to have you on here to talk about all this.
It's come a long way from sleds in the snow to like, it's just, but that what I like to think about that though is that it's when you give a creative, and I'm not just talking about me, I'm talking about like the people that I've had the pleasure of working with. When you provide creatives the equipment to do really great stuff, you're going to get pretty cool stuff, you know? Yeah. I mean, because I just think about it today, like kids that are, making these YouTube videos and stuff today. And now they're,
too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And they're making millions doing that stuff. And I just think about if any of that was available to us, 30 years ago, what would we be doing right now? You know what I mean? It's just like that they have. These kids don't know how lucky they are to have the equipment and the fact that a lot of these, effects and editing suites are so within their reach now that back in those days when we were doing it, it just wasn't really within our grasp unless we were willing to spend, thousands of dollars to do it.
Yeah.
And now you can just
software that was out there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And nowadays you could just take your iPhone and make a movie and be done with it.
Yeah.
So these kids really need to take advantage of that these days.
And not just the kids. I mean, like all of us, need to as well. Like, I mean, I got a green screen hanging up in my studio, in my office, and I'm still like waiting for the opportunity to start using it. So like I have it there just permanently hung up, just in case I have the sudden epiphany of just like, I know I can do this, and this. Hasn't come yet, but at least it's there. And so it's a much bigger step.
Well, absolutely.
That I could have possibly taken in 1994 when all this started.
Oh, I know it. So I just think that our generation definitely, we know not to take any of this for granted. Where I'm hoping that these kids these days are not taking what they have the capability to do for granted. Just get out there and do it.
Right. Yeah, and that's definitely something to think about for the end of the episode. But let's go back to what I always call the lightning bolt moment. There's always that moment in our lives when we experience something, see something, hear something, or like talk to someone or whatever, and that moment of inspiration hits you when you just say, "That's where I want to be. That's the kind of life I want to go on. That's the journey I want to start." What was that like for you?
Oh, geez. I want to say that the very first time I actually picked up a video camera, it's funny, and I could be dating myself by talking about this, but my brother and I back in the late 80s, we used to watch this show called Captain and Power and the Soldiers of the Future.
Yes, Captain Power. I had the toys too, man.
The funny thing is that we still have them.
Nice.
But we watched that show, and my brother and I were huge fans of the show, and we were just like, maybe we should make our own Captain Power video. So we literally begged my father to rent a video camera, and you had to rent a video camera back in those days, because if you bought one, it cost you like thousands. Mm-hmm. But my dad rented a video camera for my brother Michael and I to make our own Captain Power video. And I want to say that we had so many rehearsals before we actually filmed it, and I've been dying to have him find that video, because I would totally post it online. Oh, because it's just a reminder of the kind of creativity that we had as kids, Yeah. But it was that moment that I held that video camera, and my brother and I were making the video. We're just like, oh my God, I need to do this. This is just amazing. I love doing this stuff. Yeah. And it was in high school, when I finally got to high school, obviously I met Jay and who you mentioned, and Nathan, and we and my buddy James too. And
James Anderson, right?
Yep, James Anderson. And we wanted to just make movies, and we just started. I remember Jay actually bought a video camera that was used, and obviously in those days, I want to say he paid probably like $250 for it or something like that. Wow. Which back in 1993 is a lot of money.
Yeah. Granted, for a lot of things, that's still a lot of money.
Exactly. But and it was a used video camera, but we were able to do so much stuff with it, and often we would spend the night at each other's houses and just film stupid stuff, like probably similar to the stuff that kids do nowadays on YouTube. That's what we were doing, in James's parents' basement and my house. And I mean, we would do really stupid stuff, but then there was some stuff that we did where we made actual films. Yeah. Now with a video camera and 2 VCRs, yes, kids, we used 2 VCRs to edit our stuff.
Wow. Now you're talking.
Now we're going way back, right?
Oh yeah.
But we did so much stuff, and I remember we would come up with idea after idea, and we just wanted to do stuff. And the only problem we had was finding enough people that were as excited about it as we are, because we would ask people, it's like, hey, you want to do film? And they'd hear about it, they're like, oh yeah, it sounds great. And then when it actually comes down to it, they realize that it's actual work, and they're just like, no, I don't think I can do this. Yeah. So that's probably the most frustrating part of it, especially as when you're working on films where you don't have an actual budget to pay people. So that's kind of it. But man, I love getting behind the camera. It's just so much fun.
Yeah. And you also went to like a School of the Arts high school, right?
I did, here in Rochester, New York, School of the Arts. I was a theater major
Awesome.
and the funny thing is that acting was always my passion, right? I loved acting. Yeah. And that's actually where Jay, Nathan, James, and I all met, was at School of the Arts. And at School of the Arts, you have no shortage of creative people there.
Just it seems like it would be like a really great kind of creative hub. Like you can't help but explore that creative side of yourself.
Absolutely. And you would think that you'd be able to find enough people at School of the Arts that would be willing to do it, and we did find folks to make some of these films. Like we did, I don't know if I'd call it a parody or just sort of an homage to Beverly Hills 90210.
Oh yeah, the soda.
Yeah. We called it Soda 14607.
I remember that.
You remember that? And I was the Brandon character. Jay was Dylan, and James was the David character. And got a couple of our female friends to fill out the whole Donna and Brenda, and which is funny because some of those folks I still actually talk to today, which is funny.
That's great. Have they done, like, have they worked on any other projects?
No. You know, the funny thing about life is that you tend to, everybody gets married, everybody has kids, and they get jobs, and they just sort of lose touch. And
right
through the miracle of social media, we've been able to sort of keep tabs on each other and stay in touch, which has actually been really nice, and the only reason that I have social media.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I'd be canceling my Facebook account tomorrow.
Gotcha. I understand. Yeah.
But it's just, life takes over, and this I never would have said that filmmaking would have been a career for me, and I would still even say that it's not a career for me, because to me it's less than a career but more than a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to keep doing it without the need to have to do it, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah.
Because when you're an actor and that's your livelihood, then you have to take the ridiculous commercials and the stupid one-line minor roles just to put food on the table.
Right.
But if you have a full-time job and you're just sort of doing that because you love it in your spare time, then it's something more. And you could say, well, I don't really want to do this because I really want to challenge myself in this way.
Right.
And that's what I've really enjoyed about filmmaking. And not that I don't want to do any acting anymore, but I've always loved filmmaking, and
yes.
It just, I love telling stories.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And some of those stories I remember, there were, let's see, no, first of all, before I get into the archives that I remember, what was the?
You're going to bring those up?
No, just as reference. That's all. I'm not going to say like,
sure.
Oh, there was, just to show, like, I mean, there's a lot. These movies, they stuck with me, so they definitely did what they needed to do. But the name Tatum Pictures, where'd that come from?
Oh my gosh, it's funny because when we first started making movies in high school, my buddy James Anderson comes in the next day. And he's like, "Hey, I figured out the name of our film company." I was like, "Okay." And he's like, "Tatum Pictures. What do you think?" And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, "Oh, okay." I mean, because quite frankly, I didn't really care.
Right.
I just wanted to make movies.
Right.
And it's funny because I went home and I told my parents, I was like, yeah, we've decided to call it Tatum Pictures. And my mom's just like, after Tatum O'Neal? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, who the heck is Tatum O'Neal? Because I didn't know who that was. She wasn't an actor in my generation. So I had no idea who she was. So I had to look her up, and I was like, oh, okay. All right. I wonder if that's where James got it from. And actually, to this day, I still don't even know. I should probably call him up and ask because I still have no idea where that came from.
Oh, that's great. That is great. I thought there, I had a suspicion that Tatum O'Neal had something to do with it, but at the same time, I wasn't 100% confident if that really was confirmed, that it was just like, oh, it was named after Tatum O'Neal. So,
well, that's you and me both.
Yeah. So during this time, and this is what you were saying, how you're getting your feet wet, you're getting the sort of experience that all the other all other filmmakers really want to get. There was the I'm not sure if you saw the documentary, The Sci-Fi Boys, but it's all centered around all the early films that all these great filmmakers were doing as they were growing up, and doing all these different effects and everything. It's wild. It's a really, really good documentary, and I think it's on Prime Video right now. So if any of you out there want to take a look at it, called The Sci-Fi Boys, that's really the sort of life that Anthony was living, which is amazing. And so you started off with like, I remember there was the comedy Ninja Joe,
oh my God.
which was really funny.
Funny to us, maybe.
Hey, that's comedy itself it's subjective, so it's just like
very much so.
I laughed, like I didn't know you guys and everything, but I was still laughing. But you were also like really, like really ambitious with stuff. It wasn't just that, or what was it, Batman versus Jason, or Batman?
Oh my goodness! Now you're taking me back.
It was all fun stuff, like just looking at it and everything. I was just like, this is fun. This is a lot of fun, to watch and everything. Then you went even more ambitious. You were doing the adaptation of Bionic Commando, and then the James Bond movie. Now,
oh, that was fun.
That's the one that I was just like, wow, this is these guys are serious. This is awesome. I'm loving this. So, tell us a little bit about how that one started. Target for Elimination.
Target for Elimination. Holy smokes. Wow. So that one came about because the guy that actually plays James Bond in that movie was a good friend of mine back in those days. And he and I were obsessed with the Bond movies, specifically the old Connery ones.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend at the time bought me I think at the time it was the James Bond, I think it was the 30th anniversary.
Oh, the 2-disc.
Yes, right? Yes.
Yeah.
She bought me that, and which just really lets you know how long ago that was, because they've already had a 50-year anniversary. So that goes to show you how long ago that was.
They only went up to License to Kill. So
exactly.
They hadn't even gotten to Pierce Brosnan yet. So,
nope. GoldenEye wasn't even a thought back then.
Yeah.
But she bought me that, and I would listen to it over and over, and my buddy Scenic, which was his name,
right?
And he and I would listen to that, and we'd be like, we could probably pull this off, right? He was like, yeah, how would you do it? I'm like, I don't know, let's just do it.
Nice.
and I told him, I said, well, if we do this, then you got to be Bond. He's like, me? I'm like, yeah, because you're smooth. And so I'm just like, okay, I'll do it.
Nice.
And so we decided to write a script, and we just sort of threw it together.
Yeah.
Because we just wanted to shoot it.
Right.
And that was probably the first movie where we were actually able to use an editing studio, because that would have been my senior year in high school.
Okay.
And it was great, because my senior year in high school, I had maybe 2 classes that I needed to graduate, and I had all these free periods. So what I did was the technical director that was over there at School of the Arts, I would basically, instead of going to study hall for like 2 hours, mm-hmm. I would say, hey, can I just sit in the studio and just edit stuff? It's like, yeah, sure. Why not?
Nice.
And I literally, because Target for Elimination was like the first movie that we did that had like an actual title sequence. I mean, yeah. It's very rudimentary when you look at it now, but like back then we were just like, that was like the best thing that we could ever do. It was just like, oh my God, like real titles.
Yeah. And didn't you like film like a dance rehearsal or something that was going? Like, wasn't...
Well, it's funny
because it was very Maurice Binder. Like it was very...
It really
style.
Was. And the funny thing was that, being in that video studio and going to School of the Arts, I had access to like all the different dance concert videos that were there. And so a lot of the women dancing around in the title sequence there, is taken from Dance Concert from School of the Arts, and
Genius.
They're just sort of silhouetted into sort of a blue hue and shadowy women dancing, and quite frankly, a lot of those. A lot of the dancers that were in that were just, they're just great dancers to begin with. And it's just, even if you're just sort of watching it for the dancing, it's just awesome.
Yeah.
But so I would spend hours upon hours, editing footage in that studio. And I remember thinking, I am having so much fun right now, just like throwing something together in like a real studio. And this is just amazing. I was so excited about doing that.
Just totally like in the zone, like in your element.
Oh, absolutely.
That's great.
I told myself, I said one day I'm just going to put an editing studio in my house, and that's going to be the end of it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like we had no idea that it was just going to be like a program on our computer, but
seriously. People can literally edit stuff on their iPhones now.
Yeah.
I literally feel like the old guys, like, you know what we had to do back in the day?
Right.
We had to have a huge studio to edit these. It's just,
and nowadays it's like, okay, so you have a multi gigabyte computer that you can fit in your phone that can do like all this great stuff. And we're looking at the Zoom video of a lawyer with a cat filter. Like
oh my God, times really have changed, my friend.
They really have, my friend. Yeah. Oh yeah. So so with all that, with everything that you were doing, you're all in your element, but you went into theater over at Marymount, correct?
I did.
So you didn't go into the communications department where Alistair Sanderson was, and there were all this great all these great elements at their disposal. So what was it that was it just like, like you still were very fluent in theater and wanted to stay in that?
Well, I when I graduated from School of the Arts, I was still kind of on a high about acting, because I really, really enjoyed being on stage, and I don't know if you even realize this, but growing up, I was actually a very shy person.
What?
Extremely. No. Oh yeah. I was an extremely shy person. To this day, like I say that to my wife, and she's just kind of like, no, I don't believe it. It's like, no, really, I was a shy person. And I would have to say that that's probably true of most creatives when they actually get into the craft that they're looking to pursue.
Yeah.
Is that, they're really, they're not an extrovert. And, a lot of people are surprised when they hear that, artists are typically not extroverts by nature.
Yeah.
And that's because, I've always felt that artists are always dealing with something. And that's why they're able to sort of get into their craft, whether it's visual arts, whether it's theater, whether it's filmmaking, and they use that as their voice.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to continue to use my voice, because when I was on stage, people listened to me and people liked me, and it made me feel good.
Yeah.
And I wanted to sort of continue that into college. And, I still enjoy doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But it just, something happened, and I don't know what, that I felt like I lost respect for the art of acting. And I think in high school, I used to get all of the lead roles and all the plays and the musicals and stuff like that. And admittedly, I got cocky. And when I got to college and I realized that I wasn't the star of the show anymore, I was just like, oh, well, this stinks. I don't want to do this anymore. And I think
that's what happened. Okay.
Yeah.
I was curious because you were only there for 1 year. So I was, curious, is like, did something happen or something? Or was it just kind of falling out of love with it? What, because I knew you had what it took to be there, obviously. Because you had done like I know you'd done a main stage. your first semester. Yes. Your first semester, and then you did a directing project, correct?
I did.
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah, we were both doing the director's projects at the same time. Like I was doing mine, and you were doing yours. So I wasn't sure.
Right.
Like, do you remember which one that you had done? I'm trying to remember which one that was.
I remember exactly which one I did. It was The Actor's Nightmare.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, and that was probably because The Actor's Nightmare was one of my favorite shows to ever do. Honestly, that was like a director's project. It was like a little black box project.
Yeah,
and I loved it.
Oh, those were so great. Those were so much fun.
They were fun, and you got to. And the funny thing is that a lot of those directors' projects were mostly the freshmen at Marymount.
Yeah,
and it was cool because you got to meet like a bunch of other people that you wouldn't necessarily have met because a lot of us had different acting classes, and I think the only class that you and I had in common was script analysis back in those days.
That's right. Yeah, that semester, that first semester, that was great.
Ironically enough, though, we also had a script writing class, if you remember that.
Yes.
The second semester, we had a script writing class together, and that was amazing.
Oh, playwriting. We were in
playwriting. Yes,
playwriting. That's where where another guest, Jonathan Norton, came into the whole picture.
Okay.
With his 84 script.
Oh my God, I haven't thought of that name in ages.
Wasn't that just? I remember just like hearing that script and everything, and because you were performing it, you were the boy.
Right. Yeah.
And who was it? Was it Nicole Marsh? I think who was the girl?
Yes.
And
my gosh,
you two were so funny together. And Jonathan's script was so like dead on and so perfect. I was just knew like I am exactly where I need to be. I am around so many awesome people. And who knew that, like further on down the road, I'd be interviewing all of you. So
are you still in touch with Jonathan?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Please give him my best. Oh, my gosh. I haven't thought about that guy in years.
He's an award-winning playwright now.
Good for him.
He's doing awesome. I am so proud of him. And I'm so thrilled to see like how far he's gone. I knew that when I put the show together, I knew I was going to have him on, and I already did. So.
Oh, my gosh. That's great.
Yeah. And, definitely, shout out to Nicole, still in touch with her on Facebook. Would love to hear more about what she's been doing. Because
I just recently caught up with her.
She went on to do some really great stuff over at Marymount as well. So, it's, just really great, really great work. I got a lot of really awesome people in my life.
Really do.
All just really like. I have picked one hell of a solar system to like be right in the center of.
Not a bad place to be, right?
Not at all. Not at all. You guys are keeping me going. That's.
I tell you what, you are really jogging my memory today.
Yeah. That's why I'm here.
You are touching lobes of memories that I have never even thought were still there.
Oh yeah. That was and hey, what better spot than episode 75.
Absolutely.
And this is so I mean that playwriting class was so much fun, and it was so it was so invigorating.
Yes,
there were so many great creative people that were a part of that. One of my favorite little pieces that I've ever written was done in there. The four phasers and a tricorder. The Star Trek fans talking it up while playing pool, and the girlfriend and everything butting in, just saying I like the one with the whales, just. That script was so. I gotta look in my computer and see if I still have that. That was a lot of fun to write.
Oh my God, that would be amazing if you still had that one.
Oh yeah. So during all this, and you were still filmmaking then. There was the Different Storms, right?
Yes, which Nicole was in.
That's right. Nicole was in that. There was a lot of really great people were a part of that. Obviously Nathan and Jay and you and I got to I'm so thrilled. I got to be the cinematographer for a scene.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Yes, and I know exactly which scene it was too. I remember
me too.
it very. Oh yeah,
me too. Yeah, we were we had done several. It was about I don't know, something about 8 or 9 takes or something, and then finally that 10th take, everything just seemed to work. Like I was moving the camera at the right time so that as soon as you started talking, bam, you were right in the frame. Like that was my own, like, holy crap. I know. I'm pretty, that was pretty cool. So,
that was fun. I think that's one of my favorite ones that we ever filmed, just because the people that we had, you know, helping out with that was just amazing.
Yeah.
And you know, Nicole was great in that, and Debbie was in that.
Yep. And was Julie Gribble in there as well? Because I know Megan was.
Megan was.
Megan
Julie was not, but Katrina Bean was.
Yes, Katrina Bean. Yep.
Yes, who I just recently reconnected with.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So I reconnected with Katrina and Nicole. So I'm in touch with both of them. And honestly, what I should do is I should send out a copy of Different Storms to everybody, because I don't think they've even seen it.
Oh, wow.
And I think it'd be a real gas for them to take a look at it, you know.
And Ism,
like, almost there. Oh, Ism! Oh my God! Yes, yes.
Ism Jackson. Yeah.
That's right.
He and I did an awesome scene my sophomore year. We did the spoon. You think of the spoon? This is a ladle scene from The Odd Couple. And I got to be Felix. He got to be Oscar. And man, the chemistry was so good. Like, it was awesome. So much fun. It got to a point where I pissed him off to the point where he grabbed me by the shirt while we were performing the scene and everything. I literally thought he was going to hit me. Oh man, that was great. That was such a great time, man. And everyone that was there. Like, I mean, it was such a fun show to put, fun movie to put together.
Yeah,
and I was just glad that I was at least there peripherally, just because I was a crew member for a lot of it. Like I was hanging out in the background, like doing whatever needed to do. And then
you and Sanduk, if I remember.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And then obviously got to shoot that, that one scene close to the end and everything. So that was a blast. That was a blast. That was a great time, that freshman year. Like there was, especially that second semester. That's where I feel like everyone really kind of came into their own.
I think so too. I completely agree.
It just seemed like from Valentine's Day on, like that's where it was just like there was no stopping any of us. Like, everyone was connecting, and we were all like doing great in the classes too. So like the fact that it was all there and everything, it seemed like everything was clicking, but it was just like the acting part of it that you just kind of fell out of.
I just I felt that I wasn't respecting the craft the way I should have been. Because I've always felt that acting should be something that you give to someone, not for something that is for you to sort of glorify yourself with, and that's the way that I used it, and even those words coming out of my mouth right now kind of make me sick, just because I was definitely a different person back then, and I feel that the years have taught me differently, and that when you are on stage, you're not there for you. You're there to really give something to an audience that maybe they just want to get out of their daily lives and just go on a journey with you.
Yeah.
And so when you're up there on stage, you are giving someone, I don't want to say you're giving somebody a gift, but you're giving somebody a journey that maybe they need at that moment in time. And you can't take something like that for granted. And I did. And I sort of hated myself for it. And that's why I got out of it. But I actually did get back into it years later. I want to say it was in my late 20s, early 30s that I started getting back into it. And I was doing community theater here in Rochester, New York. And
excellent.
Man, that the bug definitely hit me hard. Yeah. So I was auditioning for play after play after play. And when I got laid off I was working at Chase as an underwriter for 10 years. And when I got laid off from that job, and I want to say in 2008, I had my severance, so I can do pretty much whatever I wanted to do. And I was just like, all right, well, I'm just going to try being an actor full time for now. Yeah. So I did that for a while.
That's when you do it. That's when you do it. When you have that sort of cushion and everything, just keep you going for a little while. It's like, all right, I have this window. Let's see what I can do with it.
Exactly. So I was like, why not? Yeah. Why not? And so I did it for a while, and I had a blast. Like, I was doing commercials. I did voiceover work. I did, I just had a lot of fun, and I was actually making a rather decent living at it too. So I was perfectly fine with it. Ultimately, you get in that position that I just talked about, right? Where now you're having to do it to put food on the table.
Right.
And I was like, okay, now it's becoming less fun, because now I have to try and debase myself as much as possible to put food on the table.
Right. Still trying to find that happy medium kind of thing, where it's just like,
exactly,
you love what you're doing, and it's providing like a steady enough income that you don't have to worry about it. So
exactly. And I might be being a little bit dramatic about it, but I mean, that's really what it is.
I get it. Yeah. It's like, believe me, I get
it. Not that I was really debasing myself, but it's just you have to do it. You have to get that paycheck. And so at that point I was just like, I don't want to do that anymore. I just want to be able to sort of do it when I want to do it and actually have fun doing it. And so I just was doing it part-time, and I got more into writing and filmmaking as a result of that, because, I met some other actors along the way that I still have very long-lasting relationships with, which is really fun.
Yeah.
One of the guy that I did the 2 Indiana Jones fan films. The guy that plays Indiana Jones in those films is one of my best friends now. Nice. And even to this day, he and I are working for the same company. So we literally talk to each other every day.
That's great.
But it's just like those kinds of relationships that really last with you. And it's fun. I love it.
Yeah. So during that time, you're still, working on different projects. So still, like, right. Even though you're doing the acting during the time when it was bringing in like a steady income, were you still pursuing your own personal projects, or were you just kind of putting those on hold while you were doing all of this?
Oh no, absolutely. I was pursuing my own stuff. The good thing about acting, or at least taking on acting work like that, is that you do the job, it probably gets done in maybe a couple of hours, and you still have a lot of time on your hands. Right. So, I use that time to either audition for other projects, or I would just work on my own stuff. And so,
nice.
I found that I had the time to do it. So I was just like, why not? This is great.
So you were doing you were doing all the original projects and everything. Then all of a sudden, when did the fan films come into play?
I want to say, so we did a total of 3 James Bond films, and
oh, that's right. I remember you started doing a second one, but then that fizzled. Got put to the wayside.
Yeah. And ultimately, Nathan actually took over Bond for two films, and then after that, Jay, Nathan, and I, we started getting into some more original works. Jay did Devil's Proxy. I did Meant to Be.
Oh yeah.
And we also did the Underworld, the series, which also starred my friend Rick. Yeah. And that also starred my friend Rick as the lead character in that. And I want to say that was 10 episodes. I think it was an internet series. That we did. And that was cool. Even before streaming and before anybody even thought of doing an internet series or even putting videos online. Like we were doing that. And I mean, not that we got a lot of viewership, but it was fun nevertheless.
But I remember I got to play a part in Devil's Proxy, just like it was just for one scene.
Right, that's right. I forgot about that.
It like it's in the deleted scenes section, but like at the same time, like it was still. Like I get it, you got to cut for time. I totally get it, and look,
and that one especially had to be cut for time. I mean, Devil's Proxy already, the final cut of it was like almost 3 hours long. And even that was too long.
2 discs. Yep. 2 discs for the movie, and then 2 discs for the special features. Like Jay really packed that movie with a lot. So
well, we told him he had to because he wanted to put everything in there. We're like, Jay, it's gonna be like 4 hours long.
Yep. Oh, it's great.
Oh my god!
I can't wait to get Jay on here too to talk about that one, because I remember he was working on that over at the mall in Manhattan, doing different scenes there, and that was the great time, just being a part of everything that was going on. I didn't have to be on camera at that point. It was just let me help out. This is something great. It was something to get up for. On weekends and stuff.
Sorry, I strayed off topic there.
That's all right.
You're just jogging my memory.
Yeah. So with all of that, you had Jay's working on Devil's Proxy. You got The Underworld. You have Meant to Be. You had the other 2 James Bond films and everything. I remember there was one point where you were kind of asking everyone which franchise you should tackle in a fan film, and I picked Mission Impossible, for mine. And it sounds like, what I had in mind, you were able to take and run with the Star Wars movies, since it was just a part of the universe.
Right.
So and I was saying, with Mission Impossible, just there's have another IMF team, be out there and have their own mission and everything. It doesn't have to be Ethan Hunt and company. It could be, a whole slew of other characters.
Right.
So it sounds like what you did with Star Wars was exactly that. So I was thrilled to see that.
Which, by the way, I still have not forgotten about the Mission Impossible idea. That's still in the back of my head.
Good. I would love to see what you do with that, especially now that the franchise is seeing these heights that never would have thought possible. I know it. It's wild. It's great. And you got to give kudos to Tom Cruise for keeping it going like this. That's Mission Impossible 2 was Mission Impossible 2, but
let's not talk about Mission Impossible 2.
Hey, it's based on what I'm seeing from Tom. He doesn't want to talk about it either. So I'm like, good,
because that was the worst one. But then when 3 came out, it's just oh, okay, finally we're back on track.
Okay, we're back. We're back to being a team. All right, and we got some good people on here. Let's see where this can go. And boy,
exactly,
man, has it really gone to places. So
it has.
So so was Indiana Jones the next fan film that you tackled?
So it was, and my whole thing about doing an Indiana Jones film is that the only way that I would do it is if the person that I had in mind to play Indiana Jones would do it, because if he said no, then it was going to be a no.
Yeah.
And that was Rick, because quite frankly, I knew that he could pull it off. He didn't think he could pull it off. And the funny thing is, his wife is a huge Indiana Jones fan.
Really?
Oh yeah. It's funny because, whenever we get together for dinner, the funny thing is that she and I are always talking about Star Wars and Indiana Jones and stuff like that. And Rick is always talking to my wife, Colleen, about, other stuff. He's like, oh my God, I can't believe, our spouses are like this. So his wife is basically the nerd of that couple, and I'm the nerd.
Oh, that's fabulous. So. That is fabulous.
But if he didn't want to do it, then I wasn't going to do it. That was the whole thing. And I remember he and I went out for drinks one night, and I asked him, I said, hey, I don't know if you saw my post on Facebook, but I'm looking to do an Indiana Jones fan film. And it's like, oh yeah, that would be pretty cool. And I was like, well, I'm not going to do it unless you can be Indiana Jones. And I was like, me? And I was like, yeah, why not? I was like,
so no pressure.
Yeah, no pressure or anything. And he's just like, well, I mean, I'll do it, but I don't think I can pull it off. I'm like, dude, between the two of us, we'll make it work somehow. We'll make it work.
Yeah.
And I can just remember, and this was the Indiana Jones and the Secret of the Appalachia was the first film that we worked on that we actually had to spend some money on.
Yeah.
Because we had to get like costumes and props and stuff like that. And I mean, this was a period piece.
Right.
So, with Indiana Jones, you got to have the whip, you got to have the holster, you got to have the jacket, you got to have the hat. If you don't have the hat,
you got to have the
you
map.
Don't have Indiana Jones.
You got to have the map with the line going from place to place, and
exactly. Exactly. And if you don't have that, you don't have an Indiana Jones pick.
Yeah.
And so, it was funny because my wife Colleen was helping with the costumes, and we would go around to local VOAs and pick up certain pieces, and she's like, oh yeah, this will be good. And when it came to having the actors come over to our house for costume fitting, the day that Rick came over and he put on the jacket and the hat, we looked at him. We're just like, oh my God, this is so going to work.
You get that chill and everything. It was just like, oh man, this is going to be great. Oh, that's awesome. And you've done, was it 2, 3 Indiana Jones movies since?
I just did just 2.
Okay.
We just did the 2. And the first day that we actually got on set, I want to say, because we filmed part of that movie in Ellison Park, which is a local park here in Rochester, New York. And there's this hill that a lot of hikers like to get on and try to climb to the very top. And visually, it's just a really awesome looking hill. And I was just like, okay, well, this is where that temple is going to be. That's where the Mask of Bo-Katan is going to be. And so when we were filming on that hill, and, we had Rick tumbling down that hill a few times, and I'm just like, oh my God, this looks like an Indiana Jones movie. It's just awesome.
That's awesome. That's so
I'm
cool.
like behind the camera. I'm like, I can't believe we're doing this. Oh, I'm sorry. Cut. Because I'm just enjoying watching it. I'm just like, oh my God, this is so much fun. And Rick was having a ball, and there was some stuff that he was doing that I'm just like, because he was so down to do stunt work. He was just so down with it, because there was this one point where he's supposed to look like he's dangling off of a cliff. Yeah. And where we were shooting that, it was, it wasn't terribly high. I want to say it was like maybe 7-8 feet off the ground. And he wanted, there's a scene where he comes sliding down the hill and then almost thrusts himself over because he's about to fall off the cliff, and then grabs on. And I just wanted him to just kind of like lean over and then sort of reach for it. But he's like, okay, B, this is an Indiana Jones film. I think I need to leap down the hill and try and grab that mask in true Indiana Jones style. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, first of all, we're not insured. and a trip to the emergency room is not what I want to do today. Right. And I don't want to have to explain to his wife why we're at the hospital. Because she'd never speak to me again. Right. And I said, Rick, I know it's not that high up, but it's really dangerous. He's like, no, I can do this. Let's just shoot it and let's do it. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like getting really, really nervous. And so we shoot it. He dives down the hill and then dives for the mask and then throws himself over. I'm just like, oh my God, that looked so awesome. And I was like, cut. I'm like, somebody grab Rick. I just didn't want him to like fall awkwardly or anything like that. And again, it really wasn't terribly high, But when you're diving down that hill, if you take a wrong tumble or like, trip on a root from a tree or something like that, you're going over and you're going to land on your head.
Yeah.
And so I was worried about that, but he was down for it, man. And he was ready to just go for it. And I was just like, okay, great.
Wow. Wow. And I'm sure you were just like, please, like, tell me you got it all.
Oh God. Yeah. And it looks great. I mean, if you see the final cut, I mean, he just looks amazing as Indy, and we just had a ball with that film.
That's so cool. And did you get to like repurpose some of the John Williams scores? For
absolutely.
Those? Nice.
Absolutely, we did. And obviously, we have to put a disclaimer up there. It's like, okay, this is a fan film. We don't know, yada 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 yada.
Yeah.
But to me, if you're not using the John Williams score for an indie pick, then really, are you really doing a fan movie?
Yeah. Because that a fan would, like a fan wouldn't leave that out. So
no, not at all.
So how do you do your effects now? Do you do like green screen stuff? Is that like with Indiana Jones and Star Wars, like you said, like you're spending money now. So is that a part of it as well, like green screen action?
So yeah, we employed a lot of green screen for Indy. At that point, we had a portable green screen.
Nice.
Which I actually just bought a new one recently. It's if the great thing about filmmaking equipment is that it's so cheap these days. You can actually get green screens for like really, really cheap. But I want to say that now that I think about it, I don't think there were really that many effects that we did for the first Indiana Jones movie. There really wasn't that much. The second one, I think, had way more effects in it. And I always refer to the second movie as the movie that broke me.
That broke you, huh?
Yes, because when we did the first Indiana Jones movie, it was fun, and we had a ball doing it.
Right.
But the second one, I think I may have bit off more than I can chew, because the story called for so many different things happening, and I think we traveled a lot more for this because not everything was shot locally.
Right.
And so we had to travel out of town to like SOTUS. We had to go to Alfred State University. It was just, it was probably more than, someone doing a hobby should probably do, but hey, we wanted to add some more authenticity to it and really see what else we can do. And I want to say that Rick was mad at me for that. He'll actually tell you. He's just like, oh yeah, I was pissed at you. I was like, yeah, I know.
So with everything that you're doing, and also it really sounds like Rochester itself really kind of took you in, really, just as like a local filmmaker. Is that, am I reading that right? It seems like they there's definitely the with the escalating budgets and everything, and more people that are getting involved. It seems like you're really coming into your own with that over there.
I'd like to think I am. I know there are some people that will probably look at me and just like, okay, I'm never working with him again. Because sometimes I do bite off more than I can chew, and I apologize profusely for that. And if somebody doesn't want to work with me again because of that, I totally get it, because nobody's getting paid for this. I mean, This is all our own blood, sweat, and tears. And if there are more blood and tears than there are sweat, then I'm sure that people are going to say, no, I don't want to do this anymore. And I get it because I would probably feel the same way. But there are so many, and a lot of people don't realize this, but Rochester, New York is probably one of the biggest creative hubs in the state of New York. Really? I mean, a lot of people like to think that, because New York has all these, they have all these television shows and all these professional actors down there. But if you want a creative hub, Rochester, New York is the place. I mean, when you think about all of the people that work professionally out of Rochester, New York, you have Taye Diggs, you had Philip Seymour Hoffman, you had Robert Forster, you have Kristen Wiig, you have John Lithgow. Everybody came out. All of those folks came out of Rochester, New York.
Amazing.
So really, this is a creative hub of really, really talented people. And this window of culture that we have here is just amazing. There are so many different independent theaters here. There's so many different museums and art galleries here. I mean, we really, really are a creative hub in Rochester, and I like to think of it as like the sort of unpolished diamond of New York State that people don't realize is here.
So like a real well-kept secret kind of thing.
Absolutely. And if you know, you know.
Here over in St. Louis, it's the same sort of feeling. Like it's a real creative hub around here too. Like the writing community is just amazing.
That's awesome.
I was able to serve. Who knew I'd be able to serve as a term as president of the Missouri Writers Guild? That's
awesome.
Yeah, like just that sort of stuff. That just those are the opportunities that I would not have had if I had stayed in New York City and just gotten swallowed up by everyone.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to get out of New York and LA and all these big markets just to really figure out who you are, because these big markets tell you that you're nothing.
Yeah.
And you get into these smaller markets and you realize, oh, I can do this. I really can do this.
Exactly. Even more so the fact that you have the independent theaters and everything. And one of the things that I've seen, like on Tatum Pictures website, is an ad for a double feature of Indiana Jones and Star Wars at a theater. So what was that whole experience like? Because that's really that's the dream that everyone has. Every filmmaker wants to see like their film on the big screen.
Oh, absolutely. And the great thing is that so the Cinema Theater here in Rochester, which is ultimately been designated a landmark because it's one of the oldest theaters in the area. Oh, actually, it is the oldest theater in the area.
Yeah.
So they have a habit of offering up reasonable prices to show for independent filmmakers here to show their works.
Nice.
I'm part of a group that's called Rochester Area Filmmakers Association.
Oh,
and
nice.
A lot of times what they'll do is they'll have sponsored events where you can make a short film, and the Cinema Theater will host a night of short films from Rochester area filmmakers.
Yeah.
And a lot of times what I have done probably since I think the first movie that I had in the theater was Secret of the Appalachie. What I did was I wanted to have some time to just show a couple of the movies that I had done. And they offer really good rates. To rent an entire theater out for like half the day was like $300 or something like that.
So it's like wow,
$300.
Wow.
And that was but you have to do it on a day that's not like, you can't do it on like a Friday or Saturday night. You have to do it like on a Sunday afternoon, which is perfectly fine with me,
Makes sense.
But so what they do is they cancel their shows during that time, and the theater is yours to do with whatever you want. Wow. And so I put up 3 of my films. I put up The Return Home, which was the continuation of the Underworld, the series storyline.
Nice.
I showed 2 Degrees, which was a short film that I did that I tried to get into a festival that ultimately didn't make it in. But hey, I only tried for 1 festival. You're supposed to put them in like 30. Yeah. And I was just like, I'm not paying you for that.
Right.
And then was the Indiana Jones film, The Secret of the Appalachie. And when people came, I had them say, I just said, hey, pay what you want at the door. I don't care. I'm just here to show you movies. I'm not looking to make any money. And I was actually very, very surprised that, first of all, how many people actually came.
Yeah.
And how much folks actually paid at the door, because I was actually able to pay for the theater with the money that I got from that, which was really nice.
Oh, that's great.
So ever since then, I've shown movies at that theater,
Mm-hmm.
And I personally haven't had to pay for it at all.
That's great.
which has been really nice.
And that's what it's all about right there as well. Like that's
exactly.
Yeah.
Because
Like
I don't want to make any money from this. I just want to entertain people. I just want to make people enjoy stuff. And that's really all I want to do. I just want to entertain.
Mm-hmm.
And even now, what I typically do is, instead of actually taking money at the door,
mm-hmm.
I'll put up like maybe a PayPal notice or maybe a GoFundMe and say, hey, we're looking to have this. If we can get this paid for, everybody walks in without anything. And I want to say within a few hours, I was ready to pay for the theater, which was really, really nice. And it feels really good that people care that much to do that. And it touches my heart every single time that people come into that theater and they say, oh my God, what you've done here is just so amazing.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel really good, because then it makes me want to keep doing it.
Yeah.
Because if it brings joy to somebody and it inspires somebody to do something, then that's what gives me the juice to kind of keep doing it. And I love it. And you know, I just turned 45, so I'm just thinking to myself, like, okay, how long am I going to do this for?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
Absolutely. So where can our listeners not only find you on social media, but also find Tatum Pictures itself? Can they find like any of your films or anything online somewhere?
Yes, they can. They can find just about almost every film that we've done at TatumPictures.com. That's TATUM Pictures.com. And most of the stuff from, I want to say, the Underworld, the series forward is up there. So all of the Indiana Jones movies are up there. All of the other original works that we've done are up there. And the first chapter of the Star Wars trilogy is up there as well.
Nice.
Hopefully you'll see the second one being filmed later this year, but I don't know. We'll have to see. Yeah.
And so what would you say for anyone who is looking to kind of get into filmmaking and really just, you know, have made their creative New Year's resolution last month, just saying that I want to get into film, I want to be a filmmaker or anything like that. What is the first step that you would recommend they take?
Well, the first step I would say is to, first of all, if you have an idea, write it down and just go with it.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that you're going to run into, and I've run into this several times already, is that someone's going to look at your stuff and say, well, you should really do it this way. And sometimes you get really great advice. And sometimes people just want to take over your idea and sort of inject their own ideas into it.
Yeah.
And I get it. That's fine. Whatever. But you know what? Just remember that it is your idea.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work out, there's another idea waiting in the hopper ready to go. Because one of the things that can be a barrier to creativity is to allow people's criticism to affect what it is that you're doing. Because if you allow people to say, well, this idea isn't going to work, it's like, okay, fine. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But it's a learning experience. Right. Because that's how we learn. We learn through failure. Because if we just succeed every single time we go out there, what are we learning? We're just learning that we can succeed. Yeah. Well, great. Good for you. But I like to challenge myself. It's like, okay, well, I did this. What else can I do? Okay, now I did this. What else can I do? And I feel like if you're just out there just making it too easy, it just seems like it would get boring, you know?
Yeah.
And so if you're out there and you fail, which, believe you me, I have failed many, many times. But then it's a learning experience, and we learn our greatest lessons through failure. And so don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to not get something right, because chances are there's going to be plenty of times where you're not going to get it right, where you are wrong, and that's okay to be wrong.
Yeah.
it's just a matter of when you start doing it, and if you love it, and if someone out there loves it too, then to me that's worth it.
Absolutely.
Like when at the beginning of this program, you had mentioned that you loved Ninja Joe, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, really? Ooh, it was terrible. But the fact that it made an impact to you,
well,
means something to me. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah,
and that's all I need.
And the basic element of that, the thing that made it carry through for me all those years later, is I could tell on the screen you guys were having fun putting it together.
Oh yeah, we were definitely having fun.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's what this is all about, and I really hope that all of you have taken B. Anthony Gibson's story to heart, and just like he's done, sometimes you just got to pick up a camera and run with it and see what you can do. And whether it's a paintbrush, whether it's a camera, whether it is sitting down, butt in chair, and starting to type out whatever idea is in your head to get it on a page or a screen or whatever that is, make sure you are taking that first step. Get out there and see what you can do. That is what B. Anthony Gibson has done. That is what I want all of you to continue doing. And I'm going to keep on presenting so many stories like this from all different forms of the creative spectrum. So we are not stopping anytime soon. So if you like what you hear, please share this episode, share the show itself, get the word out there. The more subscribers, the better. And all of your support, I truly, truly appreciate. And for B. Anthony Gibson, this is George Soroy saying to all of you, ever upward. And I will see you next week.
Today's show is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering our listeners a free audiobook with a 30-day trial membership. If you've never been an Audible customer and want to see what they offer, just go to www.audibletrial.com/Excelsior Journeys and browse the unmatched selection of audio programs. Download a title for free and start listening. It's that easy. Why Audible? Audible content includes an unmatched selection of audiobooks, original audio shows, news, comedy, and more from the leading audiobook publishers, broadcasters, and entertainers. And with this free 30-day trial, you'll have your pick of it all. You can hear books of all genres narrated by Jim Dale, Stephen Fry, Will Patton, Alex Hyde White, Jeff Brick, Neil Shaw, William Demerit, and even a few by me, George Soroy. So go to www.audibletrial.com/Excelsior Journeys and start your own 30-day journey with Audible today.